Improving at chess is one of the easiest things to do, and that is true if you have either just started out or have been learning for a couple of weeks. Let me just say, if you're just starting to play chess, you're probably in a position where indeed you want to improve, and you clearly want this if you've clicked on this video. But what you want is a specific system in order to actually make the improvement more effective and efficient as a beginner. That is very, very common, like kind of a routine, so to speak. And so what I was doing is I was asking my own title master, so the person who teaches me my chess, and I was asking him how many hours per day should I invest into chess, into learning the game, because I'm trying to improve myself. And what they've said to me, and I've asked this also a grandmaster, and they've both said something very similar, where the more that you want to improve, you need to spend more time learning the game. So for example, in order to reach 1000, obviously you need quite a lot less effort than the person who's trying to reach 1800, and that is very, very common. And so this video obviously is going to be different. We're not going to talk about a specific topic. However, there is one which is kind of overlooked and very, very important in order to improve at the game, which we're going to look at. And so to get the most out of this video, what I want you to do is I want you to have your archive of games, whether it be Lichess or chess.com. I want you to have a pen and paper, because we're going to do some writing in this video for the routine that we're going to be in. And because this video is not something for the short term, it's going to be for the very long term. What I want you to do is I want you to watch it specifically in front of a computer and not in front of a phone, because this is an information that it's going to take you like for the next 2 years. And I've actually learned this previously, and it would have been a lot better if I could have done that when I started out. And obviously, if you're having your phone open, then please do me a favor and do yourself a favor. Let's mute it so that we can start. And so actually, in order to start, to create what I want to tell you is about something which is kind of like a pothole where you may be actually getting into and might be actually be trapped in. And so you can imagine this: a player may go on buy as much books and courses online trying to learn specific topics. He may be buying a course on the Caro-Kann specifically to improve at the opening that he's playing. He may be buying another book on positional chess, and he may actually learn from one of them very, very well. However, a lot of these topics may be a lot less effective if you're not having some structure for our thinking process. If you're not having a foundation for it, it will be a lot harder to improve than if you would have it. Let me now show you what I mean precisely. Okay, so let me now show you what I'm talking about with having a structured thinking process. My opponent made the move knight to e5. Is this a good move? And there's a rule in times where you castle to the opposite side to your opponent, where you want to just bring the pawns as much forward as possible in order to attack the enemy king. And here our goal is specifically to checkmate. It's not to like win a huge material like a lot of beginners are trying to do, which is a correct strategy, but here our goal is a bit different. It's just a straightforward attack. And the answer that I think about is no, it's not a good move. And why is this? It allows me very simply to start to get my pawns now as close as I can to the enemy king, g5, for example, here. And I've done this, and it proved to actually kind of work in my favor. Again, I'm showing this example specifically for beginners to show a structure of thinking. And so my opponent decides to go to h5. I'm probably trying to make sure that I myself wouldn't progress. That's what I was thinking in this time. Okay, so he does the move h5, and I think, okay, and I just stopped for a moment, and I think I actually took quite a while on this move, and I think, okay, what are the downsides of this move? And the conclusion that I come for is related to activity. It's just a principle that we have in chess, where you want to have your pieces, for example, the knight, the queen, the other knight, the rooks, you want them to control as much squares as possible, because it's more of a game where I want to attack the black king. It's more squares that are directed at the opponent, so it's kind of different to controlling the center, although I obviously dominate the center in here. And so I'm thinking there in using this principle, which it may take time to actually understand, but it's still for the example, I make the move rook d to f1. trying to involve another rook in the attack, trying to get all of them together. It's a structure of thinking that I have at the moment. Okay, my opponent makes the move rook to e8. Again, and now I basically do the normal process of thinking that I have. And so I'm in here and I'm thinking, okay, again, what are the downsides of a move like the one that my opponent have made, rook to e8? I come to the conclusion, and it's very fast, but I come to the conclusion that this move does absolutely nothing. But I don't see anything that happens with this move at the moment. And it basically is kind of like a green light, continue what you wanted to do. And what I want to do is I want to obviously progress here and to attack. However, in here I actually made a mistake. So you see the process of thinking is more of a long-term thing. It's not going to prevent all of the mistakes, but it certainly is going to make our games a lot easier to play and also a lot easier to understand. So I made the mistake, actually pawn to f6. And why is this a mistake? As it turns out, this move that I've made, he could just now take, and apparently I don't have much. Yes, that's I think why. Let's see, take, pawn takes, actually haven't really checked. E takes here, G takes on G6, and now I don't really have any continuation. I don't see something that, I don't think that there is. And so yeah, this is why I think it was a mistake, most probably. I might be wrong, but again, that's not the goal. The goal is to show the process that I have on thinking before every move, right? Instead, what I should have done is probably a move like knight to d4, trying to get like another piece into the attack. If you can take a look, all of my pieces are doing something or aiming at another square of the black king. Literally all of them, except for this one. So to get kind of another piece involved in the attack. That's the goal. Okay, my opponent, but obviously I've made the move pawn to f6. And at the time, my opponent have made the move, and I was very fortunate that I've made this. I was thinking here that I may be better, but I was like thinking, damn, I don't have like the continuation now. And so my opponent have made the move bishop to h8. The bishop now has nowhere to go to. And it's a +1 advantage, at least for me, in this example due to that. And so I think this is the downside of this move. It basically makes sure that the bishop is technically not in the game. In addition to that, I think, is there anything that my opponent is threatening? His attack is technically non-existent at the moment. What does he try to do? He may try to trade with me queens, because then it would be a lot more difficult for me to try to checkmate his king. That is something I need to be wary of, which is absolutely a possibility. So bishop to h8, I do the move rook h to g1. Maybe it wasn't the best move, but again, the idea is to get them as much activated. In here it was quite difficult for me to see a way to be involved. And so my opponent does a move that I did not expect whatsoever. My opponent does the move e6. And so again, I'm thinking, what are the downsides of this move? This move, I think, allows me to continue with my attack, which is very, very fortunate for me. This rook now clearly is inactive, whatever. This bishop is as well. And really, the only pieces that are doing something are the knight, the bishop, and the rook. Quite good for me. And so I'm sitting there for like a minute, and I'm thinking about that. Turns out I have not made the right move, but I actually have a very nice idea here. It's to go knight here. Okay, let's say for a moment that they do the move. Let's say they do knight rook to c8. All right, what might have happened? I don't think it's the best move yet either. I actually have the idea of sacrificing here. Straightforward, g takes and bishop takes. Okay, bishop. No, wait. It's not to take with the bishop. It's to move the pawn here, I think. Pawn to g6. If he takes back, then let's see. He takes back, for example. Let's say. And now I have f7. Right, f7. And knight takes. Let's say for a moment that the white king to f8, and the queen can go here. Why can't she go here? There's obviously a check, and so it's very close actually to a checkmate. King to f7, and if we sacrifice the rook, it's straightforward a mate. Rook takes here, king takes, into h7. So I had basically like a sacrifice that I could have made in order to make the attack, as you can see. That is something that the thinking process can help us to do. So you can see how a thinking process can allow us to make our own judgment of our opponent's moves, and it also can allow us to make more accurate moves overall. Maybe there would always be the time where we make a blunder and an incorrect move, but that still is something that we can try to. That is still something that is going to undoubtedly make our openings and middle games a lot better. And so that's a massive part of actually improving at chess. There's the thinking process in here, and then there's the rest of the topics that we have, like openings, tactics in the first one. But for example, openings, endgames, strategy. These are things that may be important, but improving this simple process of making the best move is obviously what's going to get us the most effort, the most points for our effort, so to speak. And so now that we understand this, we can actually make like our own training system. All right, so I've opened now a Word document just so that we could write then our training program and all of our ideas for how to improve. So let's actually start with something which will help a lot on the thinking process, and that is some exercises. And I would say exercises specifically from exercises that are a lot about calculation. These ones are usually the better ones for a chess training program. So let's say 15 calculation puzzles. And there's a lot of books out there that are specifically for puzzles, and there are puzzles about exercises. There is one, for example, which is called Grandmaster Preparation and just calculation. You can find it on Google and get this book. Okay, I'm not sponsored by anyone by any means. Okay, but this is, for example, something that I did to improve at calculations. So there's that. And plus, we're actually killing two birds here at the same time, because we also will get more focused on chess. And so there's this. Now, let's say that you want to. Let's say for a moment that we are talking about a very general thing like consuming the piece of information for our current improvement. So that is to view a chess video, aka course material, right? And what I will say is, for example, there are a lot of courses out there with a lot of material in them, but for these ones, if we're going to view the course once, it's very likely that we will actually forget what we've just learned. Okay, so it's very important that we're watching actually the same video multiple times in order to sort of like ingrain the piece of information in our minds. That's very important. And so what we can do on the same breath is to say, view this video like whatever amount of time you have. Let's say, for example, it's a 10 minutes video and you can actually, and you have like 2 hours there. And so what we can do is also write make pauses, trying to think independently about the given positions. 15 calculation puzzles are actually a lot of puzzles to solve in one sitting, and that is because you think about it this way: you're starting out with one puzzle, but the less experience that you are with these puzzles, it's actually going to take you the more time to complete each one. So there is something else here that we can add is, after we solve them, we can solve them again actually to solve them afterwards. The idea behind this is we work obviously on pattern recognition, but you're also going to find that the same puzzles are obviously a lot easier for you to complete on the second time. And you're going to figure out that actually you can learn that you can actually view a course, learn one thing, and once you view it again, you learn something else which is new because you haven't got it in the first time. We basically want to extract everything that we can from the same video. That's going to make sure that we get the most value for the time that we view the same. Let's say now that we have viewed the video, what we want is to try to implement what we've learned as fast as possible. That's obviously going to give us the first-hand experience with the topic, but also to make sure that we remember it for the long term. Now it's obviously the time to play versus 3 people. For the time duration, try to make it for longer time durations. I prefer this, so you're just going to make moves without actually implying the thinking process. And in here, what we also want to add is recite the questions of the thinking checklist. I'll show you soon the thinking checklist straight away. So it's very simple actually. So let me tell you also something about the chess videos. It's better if you're going to focus on one topic for a long period of time than if you're going to try, for example, to do today openings and tomorrow endgames. If we're improving a lot on openings, one of them is trying to learn 4 different openings all at the same time. This one is trying to just master 2 openings. Which one is likely to get better at the openings that he's trying to play? Obviously, like the one that's playing 2 openings, because this one needs to study only 2. So if they have the same time, this one is likelier to profess in the 2 openings. It's kind of similar in this way to the topics themselves, actually, in chess, where if you are studying for a long period of time one topic, it's a lot likelier that you will get better in that one topic. And then what you can do is you can move on to the other one. And I've actually done this and to really improve on a topic which is called positional and understanding. And so what I've specifically done is I've spent anywhere between 6 to 8 weeks just sitting down and viewing like course material from title players about improving on my positional chess. And that really helped me to improve on this topic. Then I went on back to openings, and then I've spent like, again, 6 or 8 weeks on openings. It wasn't 6 to 8, it was 5 weeks. Openings, 5 weeks. But you get the idea. What we want to do is we want to focus on one topic and to get extremely good at it before moving to the next topic. This is very important for the chess videos that I can say. This is one thing. Now there is something else that we can do, especially to practice the 50% that we've talked about, which is the thinking process, and that is to play versus a bot. And now why do we want to play versus a bot? What we want to do is to train the thinking process without like the time pressure. What that does is it's going to ingrain the thinking process a lot in our mind. So what I usually do is I play straight versus a bot, and I have the thinking process written just like near me. And so imagine I'm playing versus the bot on the screen, and the thinking process is literally like written very close to me. And so that's an easy way to just practice this thinking process. I had very, very nice results doing this against stronger players than I am. And so we can add here play versus a bot. Okay, and that is specifically to practice. And so that is specifically to practice the thinking process. Alright, so that is a chess training program that we have. I'm also going to write down quickly the thinking process that you can just write it and copy as well for your own needs. Alright, so in here we have a very simple thinking process. This is the one that I follow. And what I will say in here is that it's more important to actually practice it than to get it right all of the time, because obviously when you practice it you're going to naturally get more better, but you're also going to be more correct in the future. And what I will say about this is the higher level that you want to get to, especially if you want to get to advanced levels, that is going to be a lot more important to practice on this thinking process. But if you're a beginner right now, that's something that you can try to do. Against a bot would be amazing. And we also have here some things that are very important in order to prevent ourselves from blunders and one movers that beginners have. Okay, so let's just quickly summarize this video. So first of all, we've talked about the importance of a thinking process and what can a thinking process do for us when we play chess. Then we've moved on to talk about how to create a chess training program and how much time should you actually spend on it. Third thing that we've talked about is the importance of studying one thing at a time, multiple things. That's the third thing that we've talked about. And the fourth one is I've shown you here the thinking process made specifically for beginners. And we've also so there's actually 5 things. So we've talked also about why it is basically more important to watch the same video multiple times and not just like progress as fast as we can on the same course. Because again, we're going to extract there then and there more value. And if you want, I created a specific roadmap for players and people who want to improve at chess. And that is in the first link in the description. And if you want, then there's obviously the subscribe option, and you would get more content specifically tailored towards beginners in chess. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.